we pray that as we are coming to start this program, may you come and be in charge of the program. Come and give us your wisdom, understanding, and knowledge.
So everybody loves Amaradona. How is the journey like?
We make this prayer through Christ.
Younger.
Thank you, Reverend Sister Cecilia. God bless you. Please kindly inform your colleagues or mates to join us, because this is a very important program. It's a 2-day program starting today and tomorrow. We have seasoned and experienced researchers, lecturers to take us through how to write our project work. As you are here, when you get to level 400 or level 300, if it is HND or 4-year degree, you'll be asked to produce a project work before you can complete. So they are here to share with us and give us the easiest and how to go about writing project work. So please inform your mates to join us here. I will now hand over to Dr. Isaac Yaude, Deputy Director in charge of quality and research, to give us the opening. Then after the opening, we will introduce our guest here. Then the presentation continues. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can just stand there.
All right. Hello. Our distinguished resource persons, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this all-important workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, research is one area that if you want to be in academia, you cannot do without. Interestingly, it is also an area where most students find very difficult and challenging. Even some of us lecturers, we also find it very challenging. And it is also an area that nobody can claim to know it all. No matter what stage you find yourself, you realize that you continue to learn something. So some of us who think that we are even there, we still continue to learn about research. So it is important that we organize this workshop to equip you to be able to undertake your project work. So on behalf of the management of the Sunyani Technical University and on behalf of the Faculty of Graduate Studies and Research, I would like to welcome formally our resource persons to Sunyani Technical University, and also welcome you, students, to this all-important program. It is my hope that by the end of the program, you will be equipped enough to be able to write your project work, and some of us lecturers will also be equipped enough, benefiting from the research, to be able to guide you as we all go through to enable you to complete your research work. And on this note, I welcome you to this whole important program. God bless you, and listen with rapt attention so that you live here better than you came. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Isaac Yaude, Deputy Director in charge of Research and Quality. I will now invite my beautiful, hard-working faculty officer, Madam Safura, to introduce to all of us our special guest. And after that, They will take over the microphone, then the presentation continues. This one, serious ambush.
Thank you very much. Good morning, our resource persons, and good morning to our students. My name is Safura Mohammed Suraj. I am a senior assistant registrar at the Faculty of Built Environment and Applied Arts, and a faculty officer. And also, as students are here, let me also announce, I'm also in charge of the Student Support Fund. So in case at the end of the semester there's a problem with paying of fees, you can call at my office for assistance. As an old student, I wouldn't have taken this responsibility because I just came to see my friend, but I have to do this for my university. I'm here to introduce our facilitators and resource persons. So first on the list is Dr. Stella Ajumandia, my friend. Actually, I'm here because of her. So let's give it to her. She's a director at SpringBoard. Can we see, Doc? Give it to her. Then second on the list is Dr. Francis Achu, senior lecturer, GIMPA. I've had the privilege to sit in a workshop with Doctor, so I know what he's up to and what he's going to give it to you. He says it as it is. Then the third one that I have, I think is last but not the least, is Professor Francis Fatoy, Manchester Metropolitan University. And I think he's on his way here. You see Prof. He's very stylish. The first time I saw him, he was in a jeans, I think top and down, and he was so up to what. And I believe these people are seasoned, and we are going to learn a lot from them. I wish to be here throughout the program. I may go and come back, but I'll be here today and tomorrow because as Dr. Dare said, we still have a lot to learn. So, my students, I take this opportunity and I also welcome our resource persons to Sunyani Technical University. As our motto says, the only nusuya ohunu, and I know you all understand it. He who learns discovers. So let's assume say ye nim namuma yensia. Thank you very much and have a good session.
Thank you, Madam Safura. This one I ambushed there. She was not supposed to do the introduction, but when I spotted her with Dr. Stella, I said, oh, come and do it. That's the essence of attending workshop. You see, as you are here, you should prepare yourself that when they call you anywhere, you should be able to stand and talk and deliver. That's the essence of education. So when you complete your degree or your HND and they call you at a function, then you run away. It means that kakra. That's what I say. And she is in charge of Student Support Fund. So those of you who have challenges, unable to pay your fees, when you go to her, she will assist you assess the Student Support Fund. So the BCBI, yes. So without wasting much time, I will now invite one of our resource person, very experienced in research, a director, and she's a woman. She is a woman. So it means that all the women here, you can also become like her. I will invite Dr. Stella Jimendia. He is the director of Springboard, to give us her presentation. Then afterwards, Doug Achu will also take over. So Dr. Stella, you are welcome. And let me also introduce to you our hard-working SRC President, His Excellency Moses Oka is here. Moses, let me say you've done well. Yesterday I had a chat with him and I said, Moses, you are supposed to bring the students, so this one is for you. He said, boss, we are trying. So I'm happy that most of you are here. So His Excellency Moses, you are welcome, together with your able executives. You are also welcome. All of you, you are welcome. If you want to use the washroom, on my left here is for the ladies, and on the right here is for the men. After the various presentations, we'll have a lunch for all of you here. So don't rush and leave. Just be patient. Nade. You be more be so I know see your casa. Empro ho ko bibi wo ho ma wo. All right. No.
Thank you very much. Please, let's clap for our honorable MC. He's done so well, and we apologize. Actually, we're supposed to start at 10:30, and we are far behind time. Very sorry about that. So I welcome everyone on behalf of my team. And I would like to say thank you to the management of Sunyani Technical University for giving us the opportunity to come in here to help you with research and academia. First and foremost, I would like to say something brief about Springboard. So what do we do at Springboard? We are into research and academia. That is the basic thing that we do. And what we do is we deliver assistance when it comes to writing research reports, writing your dissertation or your thesis, helping you on your literature review, streamlining your data analysis, all the assistance that you need from introduction to conclusion. We are available with our experts. We have very seasoned facilitators, both home and abroad. We are into hybrid instruction, be it online, on Zoom, Teams, Microsoft Teams, in person, both in the UK and in Ghana here. We deliver that top-notch research assistance. So after the presentation today and tomorrow, if there's anything that you don't understand, our seasoned facilitators will be around. Professor Fatoye from Manchester Metropolitan University and Dr. Achu from GIMPA. They're very well experienced with data analysis. They will be there to help you. So this morning, I will deliver something brief. Actually, I wasn't supposed to do any presentation. Just be around to make sure that the program becomes very successful. So I'll just touch briefly on academic writing. In all that you'll be doing, at the end of the day, it is expected that as part of your fulfillment, you should be able to write a research report or a thesis or a project work? And how do you go by it? Dr. Achu will take you through that. But in writing for a journal or writing a research paper, short communication, abstracts, anything or essays or articles, you need to understand that it is one key part of our research activity. Be it myself as a facilitator and yourself as a student. It is required of you that you develop a research topic with the assistance of your supervisor. As you develop the topic, you are learning. Your instructor or your supervisor is equally learning from whatever outcome that you deliver. You have to write in such a way that at the end of the day, whatever paper that you deliver, whatever article that you have, should inform, it should educate, and it should produce something that will add knowledge to research. And there are some principles in academic writing. The first thing is reading. Please, I hope you have your writing materials here, so you take down something brief. That will be very helpful for you. You have to take the workshop very serious. This is something that some of us during our university days, we didn't have the opportunity. And you are lucky your management have this for you. So please take it very serious, apply it, and it will help you. The first thing is you need to read extensively, not just reading anything. You are working on a research topic on illegal mining, for example. Before you write, the first thing is you need to read. You have to read and read extensively on the research area that you are interested in or you are writing about. And in reading, you have to read from relevant journals, impact factor journals. You can access them on Scopus, Science Direct, Springer. These are valid places that you can find very educative materials that you can read. If you go on Google, you can find some information that are very false. They don't really apply. But you are assured of very good and well-informative details when you read from impact factor journals. The next thing is writing. Yes, you need to write. After reading, you have to write. What you have to write is anything that has to do with your research area. Just write. Keep on writing. Make sure that whatever you are writing is clear. It is not ambiguous. You are not using very huge terms that you yourself, you find it difficult in understanding. So you have to write. Write sentences that communicate or in line with your research area. You have to write and keep writing. It is one way of making progress. After reading, you have to write. If you decide to read and you don't write, it becomes very difficult for you to progress to the next step. So after reading, you have to write. And from writing, as you are writing, you need to time yourself. This is one key principle. You are time bound. You are writing your research in 1 year or in 6 months, in 8 months, 7 months. There is a duration that you have to complete. And so as you are reading and writing, you have to time yourself. You can schedule a plan, maybe using a Gantt chart or using Miro, so that you have on your plan that this week I am working on my introduction. And so you channel all your time in writing your introduction. If it's every 2 hours, if it's 2 hours in the morning, you take a break, another 2 hours or 1 hour, you have to be disciplined with the timing. You have to write and make sure that you avoid missing deadlines. Let's assume your supervisor tells you that you have to submit chapter 1 on Thursday. And by Thursday, you've not even written a half page. This time you have to rush and just collect information that may not even be valid for your research area. So you have to make sure that you don't miss deadlines, and so you write within the specific time. And as you are timing yourself, you don't have to create a very long pause. Okay, so I'm a career woman, I have children, and I'm writing my research. I need to make time for the kids. So you create a very long pause. For 2 weeks, you've not gone through your reading and writing materials. You are focused on other things. This is a time-bound thing. Writing is time-bound. Your academic research paper is time-bound. So you don't create a very long pause. You don't spend most of your time watching football because we are in the Qatar 2022. So you want to finish watching all the football before you go back to your books. When you create that long pause, it becomes difficult to gather the inertia to progress. So you'll be marking time. Sometimes you have to even stabilize in your mind first before you go back. So please don't create that long pause. It is one key principle that we need to take in consideration. And in writing academic reports, what are you doing? What is the essence? One important thing is you are communicating. Let's assume I am just an SHS leaver, and you write your reports. One important thing is when I pick your academic reports, I should be able to learn something. I should be able to read something to my understanding. That is why in the first step, you have to avoid using ambiguous words. Because when your terms are too huge, they are not scientific. They are not delivering anything. Your report should serve as a communication tool. For a colleague studying geography and you studying environmental science, even with a little idea about environmental science, somebody in the geography class should be able to understand to a point what you have written. So that is one important thing about academic writing. The next thing is you are conveying knowledge in your area. And in conveying knowledge, there is nothing new under the sun. What is important is you are adding something to research. So in your specific area of research, you should be able to communicate some form of knowledge, something, a very good idea about, we should be able to pick your paper and it should be very informative. So that is one important. If I pick your research paper and it is not really adding anything knowledgeable to research, I become so reluctant in reading your paper. And in reading your paper, that is when you get that wide view of people really cherishing what you have done. You should be able to have your research paper or your project work, and you should be proud of what you have produced because of the knowledge that your research paper is conveying. And the next thing is, it improves your critical thinking and your style of writing. When you sit down to write, you don't write just anything because you have that intuition. Your medulla oblongata is working. So you are able to think so deep, and when you write something down, it's very valuable. And even when you're engaging your colleagues in a conversation on that research area, you realize that critical thinking is working. That part of the brain that communicates on your research article is really working. So that is one important thing that you don't have to miss. and you are contributing novelty to research. Yes, illegal mining, because we are in the Hafo region where we have these problems with illegal mining. So I'm using that as an example. So what are you bringing on board? We've had a lot of research papers on illegal mining, telling us how they destroy our water bodies, informing us how the mercury is harming people who drink from the water bodies. What new thing are you also adding? You should be able to give us something different, something that we can do differently. I remember before the election period, we had a fight on illegal mining, chasing people, taking their excavators. That is the one aspect. But in research, as students in an institution, you cannot go and burn excavators as part of fighting illegal mining. Your expectation is what you can do. How can we reserve our water bodies? How can we preserve our forest areas? So this is something that is expected of you to add to existing knowledge or the existing research available. Another important thing is you are producing a quality work, a work that you should be proud of, a work that your supervisor will be proud of, a work that can be even be publishable. I'm sure that by the time you are done with your master's degree, if you pick your HND work or your bachelor's degree project, you should at least value it. That, you did something. Not that you pick it and you read it and like, hey, me pana me chowe. I did me chowe, they say, mistakes in a dozen. You should be able to produce a quality work. And now let's go to the facts, the do's and don'ts. Things that you have to do, those that you have to avoid. First, you are conducting independent research. Not that you go and engage somebody at Legon or KNUST to write your project work for you because it's part of the fulfillment of STU. It's a big no. Write it yourself. You are bound to make mistakes. Of course, mistakes are part of life. That's why the pencil, we have an eraser at the bottom of a pencil. Because when you write and you make mistake, you will erase it and correct it. So what is this trend of even paying money for somebody to write your research for you? Conduct an independent research. Write the report yourself. That's why you have supervisors, you have very seasoned facilitators here. They will help you to edit your work for you. So make sure that you conduct independent research and something that will add value to research. Value addition. Because if you don't conduct independent research, you are going to pick materials from somebody you don't even have an idea. When it's time for you to defend your project work, you'll be there. Now you have to go back to the same person to pitch you or coach you on what to say and what not to say. You'll be panicking in front of your supervisor. If you conduct research yourself, you are very confident when you are delivering the research paper. The next thing is copyright. So I'm going to put together copyright and plagiarism. They are intertwined. Let's assume your friend sitting beside you have a research paper and you are using that as your literature. You find a chart, an image or a graph in their article. That will be very useful for your writing. What do? When you grab the image to support your argument, please make sure that you cite or indicate that you took this chart or image or graph from this person. So you don't go about picking somebody who is into geospatial science, They develop their own 3D map. Then you pick the map and you don't indicate where you pick the map from. It's copyright. It's plagiarism. You are stealing somebody's intellectual property. It doesn't belong to you. If you want to have your own chart, image, or graph, then you would have to design it yourself. Produce the graph, the chart, or image yourself and attribute it to yourself. If you pick the graph from World Health Organization or FAO, make sure that you acknowledge where you picked the charts from or the graph from to avoid any form of copyright. Literature review, cut and paste. Where from this? You go on the internet, you find very resourceful information, and you cut, you paste, you cut, you paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. Some of you are masters in cut and paste. When they give you assignments, you can cut and paste and even cut the name of the writer without knowing. And you will paste it. On your way to submit, that's when you remember, Kofi Mensah, and you have to clean it. I know we've all been students, fan of cut and paste. But it's a big no. Because as you cut and paste, you are copyrighting somebody. And that's where plagiarism comes in. When we turn your research or your paper into Turnitin, because of the cut and paste, you will be exceeding 150% plagiarism. Because you are cutting and pasting, and you don't even know what you are up to. So you have to avoid cut and paste. And in plagiarism, you pick my source. You have to modify it. Modify the sentence. Don't just say it as a test. You modify the sentence and you cite your source. That whatever information that you gathered is from Ajimendua et al. 2020. So you pick and we put your, we turn your research into Turnitin app, and of course, you won't exceed that 150%. In fact, 150% is really abnormal. The app will refuse to work because you are cutting and pasting and citing from sources that is not valid. So we use plagiarism checker to check. We use Turnitin to check to make sure that you don't exceed the percentage that is expected of you. So before you even submit your work to your supervisor, you should be able to utilize these tools so that by the time you go to your supervisor's office, you are not exceeding that percentage that is expected of you. And of course, you can help to paraphrase your work with the help of Quillbolt, Grammarly. We have the basic. You can use the basic. If you have funds, you can subscribe to the premium. These are very good paraphrasing tools that can help you to restructure your sentences, rephrase them, so that when you pick Ajimendua et al. Article and you want to paraphrase it, and you are sitting at the Brofonemba, we are not a Brofo, Ghana for Brofonemba, you shouldn't be worried. Now, technology has advanced so well that with the help of these paraphrasing tools, you will be able to modify the sentences. And yes, talking about plagiarism and citing sources, please don't go and cite Ajimendua et al. 2020 when you know very well that the information that you are citing does not belong to Ajimendua et al. 2020. It could be similar, but that is not the source. We have the original source. So you go to the original source and you cite the original source and make sure that the citation is correct. It's very correct. And in helping you to cite your source, we make use of referencing tools or softwares. We have Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero. These are apps or softwares that can help you to cite your source And also make sure that at the end of your paper, when you generate your bibliography or your bibliograph, every source that you cited will be present. It will automatically generate all the sources that you cited. So you don't have to sit down and be doing it manually. It's very tedious. You are using the APA system and you have to sit behind your paper looking for A, Ajimendo eta, you put it there. B, Bekwai eta, you put it there. C, Cat eta. Now you are, no. With the help of Mendeley. If you don't have a Mendeley account, today please open a Mendeley account with your email address, get a password, and install Microsoft Word in your Mendeley, or your Mendeley in your Microsoft Word as your reference tool, and you utilize it. It is very helpful. It will make your work very easy for you. So if you have to change the references style to Vancouver style or to maybe American Society style, it becomes very easy for you. You just click on how you want to streamline your sources, then you do that. So make use of reference tools. And of course, in writing your academic paper, you need to fulfill all the requirements. You are supposed to write using Times New Roman, font size 12, justified, maybe spacing of 2.0. Please pay attention to the instructions. It makes the work easy for you because you don't have to go to your supervisor and he will tell you you should do justify. So get all the instructions. Follow the instructions. Go by the instructions. You are writing a short communication for a journal. Pick the journal's instruction. Maybe you have to use Times New Romans, 11 spacing, 1.0, 2.0, 1.5. Please pay attention to the publishing house's instruction. And make sure that you fulfill all the instructions that are required of you. And finally, you need to find someone who has very good command over the English language. That's why the SpringBoard team is here. They can help to edit your work for you. The supervisor can equally assist you. I know sometimes it's very frustrating that you go to your supervisor with your work, he will cancel this, cancel that, tell you that you should write this. Yes, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. Even it's okay to blink an eye and it's okay. But you still have to edit the work. You still have to write it. It's okay to be angry at your supervisor. Please, not in his presence. To be angry in your closet. It's okay. But you have to make sure that whatever edits that you have to do, when you fulfill it, you produce a very good academic paper. You produce a very good abstract, a very good short communication. And that is to your advantage. Because if somebody picks your paper, they are sure of the quality work. So find an editor, utilize your supervisor, the kind of information that they give you, if they cancel it, please go back. Don't create that long pause. Sit. If you cry, fine. Clean your tears. Go back and write. At the end of the day, when you are graduating with whatever class that you have, you are proud of the work that you have produced. I think with this brief information, we should be able to achieve our aim. So you have to read extensively to write clearly in time. Thank you very much. So please, before Dr. Achu comes in, if there's anything that you don't understand.
Yeah, so it's time for Q&A. If you have any question, the microphone will be going around. If you have any question, you ask, Doug will address that before the second presentation comes your way. Let me also remind you that we are live on the university social media handles on Facebook, STU Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are live. And YouTube, also live. So you can share the links with others who are not here. Please, let's listen to your name, then you go straight to the question.
I'm a person of Bomati Barnabas. Please, my question is, you first talk about citing the socks. So in case on the course of my research, I got some information from my grandfather in the house, who is not well known. So in this case, am I going to cite him as my socks, or how am I going to do?
Thank you very much, Barnabas. Yes. So in the first slide, we made mention of reading extensively. This is an academic paper you're writing. So definitely, you have to get materials that are published. Let's assume that you are doing something new, and your grandfather is able to tell you, in the olden days, we did this, we did that. Your grandfather is not an academician. He has no article to reference from. Then you become the first source for that information, and only on a condition that you have to write it in your words. You write it in your words, then it becomes your intellectual property. So anybody who picks your article or research paper will cite you. Otherwise, then you have to stick to impact factor articles or journals that have very relevant and important details that you can rely on. Is it okay? Yes.
We have a question here.
All right, thank you. My name is David Alomachu. Please, I want to ask, by law, is there any punishment for a plagiarist?
Okay, so with plagiarism, that's why we have the plagiarism checker. That is your punishment at the first step, where we use the Turnitin to make sure that you hit the 15% point. I think some institutions accept up to about 17%. That is the punishment. But if you decide to forego and do your own thing and exceed that, I mean, with any supervisor, a very serious one, of course, wouldn't agree that your research paper should pass beyond that 17% or even 20%, depending on the requirements from the institution. However, if you decide to do your own thing, okay, and you publish, your work can be withdrawn and your degree can be taken. That's why it's an awarded degree. It is awarded. It means that I've awarded you with this and I can take it back anytime. Yes. Interestingly, recently there are some institutions, when you go with a very fake result, you know what they will do? They will enroll you, they will allow you to take your courses, everything. When you get to the section that you even produce your project work, and it's time for you to apply for graduation, where you go around to make sure that you are free from bills and other things. That is where they will draw your attention to the fake result that you were enrolled. By then you've paid your fees, you spent 4 years of enough punishment. That is a very serious one, because you utilize all the 4 years, pay money, spend your resources, and at the end of the final year where you are supposed to graduate, they will bring out your fake results, and that's enough punishment to even kill you. So with the plagiarism checker, yes, it will streamline you to hit the required percentage. But if you forego, in the future, it may not be now, your work can be withdrawn and your award can be taken back. That is the punishment.
All right, let me add something to what Doc said. We have the reputational dimension. For instance, maybe by the grace of God, you're able to rise maybe to the position of a vice chancellor, or maybe you are a minister of maybe finance, or maybe minister of education, right? Then, oh, his work or her work is highly plagiarized. So what do you think will happen? You lose your master's program, certificate, then you also end up losing your position as well as a vice chancellor, because it is seriously, for instance, take your university, oh, your vice chancellor plagiarized the work, because the university would want to disassociate itself from the vice chancellor. So please, plagiarism is a very serious issue. I think it was last year or so, a minister in Germany, because of plagiarism, lost his position. People even lose their fortunes because of what? Plagiarism. So please, it is, to me, is the highest academic crime you can ever commit. The highest crime you can ever commit within academia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, please, thank you very much. Mom, I really enjoyed the presentation. I want you to help us get some of these impactful journals, because from the beginning of your presentation, you made mention of Google. You said sometimes they give false information. So, most of it, especially me, I do get most of my information from Google. So I want you to help us get some of these impactful journals where we can go find information. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So with Google, not necessarily false, but you need very detailed information. And you can get them from these impact factor journals. Impact factor journals. So these are Science Direct. It's not free, but I don't know if the university have this access for students, that they can access these journals. Yes, because it's not free. There are some journals or articles that you can access freely on Science Direct. And the others too, because it's a paid one, so I don't know if the university do they have. Okay.
You know, the universities now have these collaborations. So at the end of the day, if STU is, let's say, maybe a signatory to that, you can access that through your library. Another option will be that, no, it's about networking. What I have realized, this was about networking. You have colleagues in some institutions having those, let's say, maybe license. You could send it to them to also do the downloading for you. Right. The impactful journals, you know, we have journal rankings. One of them is, we call it SJR. So when you go and check SJR, or we say Smagio, okay, or Smago, some of Smago, go and look at it. That's more broader as compared to like ABDC. That's more or less business journals than the ABC. Right. Sorry, ABS. I would advise take more of the SJR. That's more broader. That's more generous. Look at that. It's going to help you. You see, what she's saying is that Google is not necessarily bad, but you know, when you take maybe these impactful, maybe journals, maybe sources, you know, it has gone through a rigorous type of review, peer review, very rigorous. Seriously, Doc will tell you the papers he published, what he went through. At times you submit a paper to a journal. Look, the time you are subjected to a rigorous review process, you doesn't know. You know, man pass man, water pass Gary.
Yeah, thank you. So you can access. I'm a foreign trained, so we have the license for the university. That's what I wanted to know. So if you have friends in institution outside Ghana, in the UK, Europe, you can send the topic to them. They can help you with the PDF version of these journals or articles that you can use. So from the SIMAGO ranking, you can utilize more of the Q1 journals. We have the quantiles. We have the Q1 journals that are of very high, you know. Then we have the Q2, then the Q4. So one last question, then, yeah.
Thank you very much for this great opportunity.
Please, on your teaching or your facilitating, you said if we are using, let me say, magnanimous words or large words, it can bring about ambiguity or fictions. I want to know, due to our levels, we all have different class, or we are all in different levels. Maybe I'm speaking with my sister or my brother, he is okay with it. And doesn't mean that I have to now take in dictionary, bring down my words. Or somebody also, my opponent also speaking, or using that little words or that words, I think it's also heavy, it's also simple, maybe let me say it's also simple for the other person. How will I know that this words I'm using is heavy or is something large for my opponent? And how will I do that simple? Thank you very much.
Okay. So you have to be very concise. Concise means you are using very simple English. I have articles in a Q1 journal, and you have to make sure that your English is concise, yet scientific. So you are utilizing your scientific terms, but your phrases or your sentences should be very concise, so that if somebody who is not in your field pick your article, they should be able to understand it. You don't have to be using very, very huge because you want to impress. I don't know who you want to impress, because if the peer reviewers will even tell you that write, when I review papers, please write clearly and concisely, so that it becomes easy. You are not writing the article for yourself. You are writing it for readers. So it should be in very simple and clear language. English language, of course. Yeah.
An example, you need money. You walk to your father. How do you communicate to your father? Maybe, how do you communicate to your father in terms of request? Or you go and say, "Scan pay the day." So please, in terms of the communication, you see, we need to understand that it is not about you. I quite remember my supervisor ever told me that, "Francis, learn how to tell the story. Otherwise, I write as if my audience know what I know." So do you see that? Learn to present your issues concisely. Don't go be using this kind of, let me give a very simple example. In finance, we have a word like rehypothecation. Huge. But what I want to mean is that, it's like I want to reuse something, meaning I have pledged something. I can reuse it to repledge. So do you see that? So please do your best. So the whole idea about is that when you read more, you write more, you broaden your grammatical horizon. But most of us, we don't read. Especially those of us in quantitatives. I'm also part. But I was forced to learn how to read when I started my PhD some years ago. So please, with that, I would advise, learn how to write. Take a pencil, take a pen, place it. You write. Even if it is horrible, you write. You write. Keep on writing. Young Konkwa, young Konkwa, keep on writing, keep on writing, keep on writing. You know, we got something in Nesha. I want to write, I don't know what to start. So please, it's a serious issue. Thank you very much.
So I think we are done. So I'll hand over the microphone to the MC. Thank you very much for your attention.
Let's do it again for Dr. Stella Ajimandia for that wonderful presentation. Now, the second presenter is ready. A seasoned researcher, senior lecturer, has PhD in finance, and Hey. I think he's coming. Okay. So Dr. Francis Achu will take over the next presentation. When he's done, you can just put down your questions. When he's done, we'll give you the opportunity. We'll break, then the final presentation will come your way. So Doc, Francis Achu, you can give it to him, Doc.
So, thank you very much. Right, that's my background. I sit on pension funds. You know, we have a tier 1, tier 2, and then the tier 3. I sit on the tier 2 and then the tier 3. The tier 3 is called Provident Fund. I sit on that. I also consult for Minister of Finance in the area of what fiscal risk and then Basel. Right. So this is my background. I'm highly quant, but I'll do my best. I'm highly quant, but I'll do my best to present. The issue here is that I'm not coming to present to myself. SpringBoard is here to give you the enabling skills to be able to write your project, thesis, or dissertation as part of the righteousness that you are supposed to fulfill before doctor and other senior officers will say that, okay, we will now award you a first degree, an HND, or what, or maybe a master's. So the way I'm going to handle this will be slightly different. You are going to drive the process, but not me. You are going to drive the process, but not me. Right, so please, Doc, I want to ask this question. You know, in some institutions, as a student, there is an option that you can decide to take extra courses without writing a project, a thesis. Is it the same thing to here? Then please clap for yourself and clap for your institution. Do you know the reason why? In academic research, if you take that option of not writing a thesis, a project, thinking that, oh, you are smart, it is ahead of you, waiting for you. Do you know that within the corporate world, whether you like it or not, you write something, even a report. Let's assume you are seated here. You've decided, let's say maybe to have an attachment with, let's say maybe a mining firm, or let's say maybe any institution. Then at the end of the attachment, maybe your direct supervisor may ask you, oh, can you write a brief report so far what you've been able to do during this period? Let's assume that you have no experience, no skills in what? In writing. What do you think will happen to you? Now, let's even put that one aside. Do you know that if you have an excellent idea, you want to start a business, you want help, people to fund you, people to finance you, they'll ask you to go and bring what? Go and bring what? Go and bring a proposal. So, what happens to you? Do you even know that when it gets to a point, there may be an issue, then you are involved, then police may invite you, write your report. So, what will you do? What are you going to do? Would you pay someone to write it for you, or you write it yourself? So please, I am pleading with you that there is no option for you to say, oh, as for me, in fact, I don't need this. One, you need it for getting to graduate. Two, you need it as a skill to progress. Your career progression depends on that. Do you even know that if you have an excellent idea, what I said first, Maybe I have a bit moderately good idea. You have an excellent idea. But if I'm able to present my views, my plans, my intuitions properly, so let's say my plans properly, they will end up funding me without funding you, because I'm able to communicate what I intend doing, the benefits to what? To the audience, or maybe the source that is willing to fund me. So please, what I'm putting here is that, look, whether I like it or not, it is a requirement. So if it's a requirement, why don't we put in the necessary effort or energy to understand? Please do not think that we've just gotten to this level just maybe one day, maybe 1 year, 2 years. No. It is not an event. It is what? It is a process with a cumulative what? Effect. You do something today, tomorrow you do something, the following day you do something. So what are you doing? You are consistently at least building on what? On your expertise. So I'll ask you a very simple question. I want maybe level 3 and level 400. I want 2 volunteers. Level 300, level 400. I want 2 volunteers. Let's hurry up before I jump in. Oh, yes, I can. Yeah, so. Level 300, level 400. Level 300, level 400. Oh, we don't have level 400. Hey, I'm just a brother. No fears. I have this philosophy. Please, don't let language be a barrier. If you can say it in Twi, correct. If you can say it in Ewe, correct. Any language of your choice, fine. So be a bit to a brofron or the battery already, or that side of her. Okay, boss. Okay, I think I know you. There was a time that you were part of my lesson. Good. So level 400.
300.
Level
300.
300. That is very good. So let me ask you, will you be writing a project work?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So is there a requirement? Is it an option?
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement. That is very, very good. So you are here at least, although you know certain things, you just want to do what? Increase your ability to be able to do what? To write a thesis. That is very, very good. What area are you going to write? In what area? Maybe your subject area. Which area? Which course are you doing?
Engineering, electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering.
Yes,
He is highly quant. Most quant people, we don't like writing too much. We don't like reading too much.
It's true.
We believe in equations, models here and there. That is very good. So we'll talk more. Thank you very much. A second volunteer. Okay. So, which level?
Level 300.
Level 300. That is excellent. So, what are you going to? So, which area?
Microbiology.
Microbiology. Good. So, will you be writing a project?
Yes, please.
Is it going to be a requirement or optional?
Please, it's a requirement.
A requirement. Into what pay? What pay?
Metro.
What better? It no be so.
It be so.
Be so no. What pay? What better? Is it some of us may think so? Well, I'm smart. Why don't I use some contractors to write my thesis or project work for me? Is it not so?
Yeah.
You would do that, but at the end of the day, the crime you have committed today, the crime is what? Waiting for you where? In the future. The earlier, the better. So what I'm going to do is that I will look at maybe a basic structure of a project work, a thesis work. Then I try to present along those lines. That's what I like doing. I want, when you are done here, you should be able to hit the ground running, at least do something. It's not just about coming to fly, bam, bam, bam. No. It's about what? Something that is meant to help you just after this to go and do something. Now, if you take any project work, do we know something like this? This is the traditional. Do we know something like this? Do you know something like this? So this is the traditional. So whether you like it or not, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, please, this is the traditional structure. Of course, maybe STU will take this and then maybe tweak it a bit. Do you understand that? So this is a traditional one. STU may say, okay, because of the peculiarity in this particular field, add this, take this off, add that. Are we okay? So we have, traditionally, we have the introduction, literature review, methodology and data description. For instance, an engineer, the way he will present this is different from, let's say, microbiology. Do you understand that? All right. We have empirical or data analysis. The last one is what? Is conclusion. Is it not so? Who can help me? What is the introduction? What is the introduction? Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. The introduction talks of about the topic you are on, like the topic you are to do your project on.
Okay.
It talks of a brief history about the topic.
Okay.
Let's say how it came about, and like the background of the topic you are studying.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. I would agree, but not fully. But that's at your level. Good. I'm happy with it. I think Madam is here. Oh, that's the same thing. Okay, then can you help us? What is literature review? What is literature review? Please, I want you to drive the process, not me. Yes, sir.
Please, the literature review talks about previous works that has been done related to your field of study or what you intend to do.
Okay.
And I want to say something too about the introduction.
Okay.
In the introduction, you state the problem you intend to solve, your objectives, and the aim that you want to achieve at the end of the day.
The problem you seek to solve. Okay. Literature review. I like your definition. It is the previous work done by other people that are related to what you want to do. Good. So when we say literature review, it basically means that you need to be able to prove to those who will be interested to read your work what you are doing new. Let me give a very simple example. An example is that's Hadia. 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 I hope allergy is fine. Okay. Let's assume we want to see how allergy will love Hadia. Is it not so? How allergy will love what Hadia? Please excuse me. How Alaji will love Hajia? Well, it could be that the first will be maybe money. Hajia, money is important. So it basically means that the more money Alaji gives to Hajia, the more Hajia will love Alaji. It's an example. Forgive me. So do you see that? So let's assume that, boss, you did that research and you came out that, oh, okay, money in itself drives love, meaning the way we love is driven by money. So that is within literature. Then, madam, you come and say, oh, no. It could be that money may not be the only factor that will drive what love. What do you think could be another factor? What? Well, attention. Now, I want you to understand the process of literature review. So, attention. Then you would also study and realize that no, you realize that money is not the only way of showing what? Love. So there should be that kind of interaction between what? Attention, the way Al-Haji exhibits what? The extreme attention. That is what he said. Also part of literature. So now we are coming to the literature. So this is one, these two. Well, you could also come and say that no, although these factors play a crucial role in determining love, that religious views, do you see that? Religious views, maybe the bringing of Hajia said, no, money is not all. Sister will tell us that the love of money is what? The root of all the evil. Now, you see the way we are building it up. So you came out with something. What was the problem? You said no, there should be other factors. So you realize that attention. Then she also comes and says, oh no, religious views. Maybe the way Hajia is brought up, money does not necessarily motivate her per se. Because of her religious views. So see, so now we have what? Your case, your case, your case. Now let's assume all that I have said. Do you think there are other factors or maybe situations that you think we need to consider to make the whole thing complete? What factors again? Is it tribal factors? Well, she is claiming that whole tribal factors. So tell me, I love that. Why do you think that tribal dynamics or maybe tribal perspective would influence love? Okay, give it to her.
Okay, thank you. We have certain tribes in Ghana here that...
But please, hold on, before you go on that. In research, let's be very careful. Some kind of don't try to stir up some kind of tribal sentiment to mess it up. So, meaning, let's be cautious. When we are presenting our work, we need to consider some ethical issues. You have to be very careful. So, I don't want to say something like maybe to explode, boom. Okay, so you go on. But we are learning to the KBM fan channel. Let me just preempt you. Okay, please go on.
Okay, some tribes are there. They wouldn't allow their daughters or sons to marry from other tribes in Ghana here.
Okay, yes. So meaning, well, you're talking about maybe some kind of cultural settings of that. That's fine. Okay, what next? I'm also thinking that, do you know that economic situation can also let you? Let's say maybe Hajia is coming from a very, very rich home. So at the end of the day, the father is rich, the mother is rich. So her husband, when he give her money, when he give her attention, when he give her, what again? The tribal issue doesn't really influence her. Now, there's an issue here. When we say attention, what's even attention? What's attention? Madam, you spoke about attention. What is attention? What's attention? No, it's madam. What's attention? What's attention? What's attention? So in research, be specific with whatever you are. Be specific. So are we okay with now? So you see how my literature review is like. Do you see that? Please, when you are reviewing literature, tomorrow you go through that. It doesn't mean you report this one. No. You see, we are building a case. It's a synthesis. You are putting all together, the weaknesses, the strength. Okay. Now, the methodology and then data description, data analysis. That is the core of what we'll be doing. But we'll see how we do the implementation. Conclusion. What's conclusion? What's conclusion? Of course, in some respects, it's going to be like conclusions, or maybe some will say some kind of summary, some recommendations, and then how you want to present it. Yes, sir, boss.
I'm Barnabas. Conclusion is the brief summarization of how conviction your message is.
How?
Conviction, fervent, how fervent your message is.
Say that again?
Yes. How your message is being convinced by the audience or the listeners.
Please, do you agree with him? What was he doing on the Jamaican and the who can help?
All right, thank you. To my understanding, what I know about conclusion, when we say conclusion, maybe the end of something or the finish of something, or let's say the last part of something.
Okay. Though it is very broad here as conclusion, but I would advise the first portion of the conclusion should be a summary. What you've done so far. I shan't say what the Obama and Tofa and I kind of say Tofa and Tofa is Tofa Obama and Tofa. This is that you summarize the important or the salient points. Are you okay with that? Okay. Now, let's go on with this. In research implementation, this what I tell students, this is what I tell faculty. You must learn to answer 4 main questions. The 4 questions are, let's go on. 1, 2, the what question, the what, why question, the how question, all right. So in tree, you're back kind of saying, what means what? Being. Why means what? Dainty. How means obey the same. And so please let us put in a couple of words that we go on. Oh, please give her the mic. The kind of tree, make a tree, make kind of tree, uncle. You tree, can the tree go? What? So are we okay? So what I want to say here is that anything you want to do, be it a project, be it a thesis, be it a dissertation, please learn to answer these 4 questions and you are good to go. The what, the why, the how, and what, and then the significance, the benefit. Amongst them, the most difficult to answer is which one? Who can help me? Which is the most difficult to answer? The what? No, how is not difficult? Why is the most difficult? The interior. You see that? The why. The case of Hajia and allergy. Before you can be able to answer the why question, then you should understand what I demonstrated here. Meaning what people have done, what is right, what is not right, what are the weaknesses before you know the why. The why should be problem driven. What problem are you going to solve? Are we okay? The why. So The why basically needs very solid literature review. The how is what is the methodology. How will you do it is what is the methodology. Then the significance. When you are done with your work, how important, what are the benefits, what are the new insights is it going to offer? Because if you should do research and no importance, no benefits, can you answer this question? What have you done to yourself? Haven't spent your time, you've done a research, it is useless, it is not useful. What have you done to yourself? It means that you were tickling yourself and instead doing what? Laughing, is it not so? So please, the importance of your research is very important. So please, in terms of the implementation, the how is a very big situation. The how is what? A very big situation. All right. So, let me take the introduction to go through it systematically. Please, listen to this statement. Listen to this. Your introduction should answer the 4 questions. The what, the why, the how, and what? The significance. There is a section in introduction called background of the study. Have you seen something like that before? Have you seen something like that before? Oh, talk here. Haji, have you seen something like that before? Yes. Have you seen something like that before? Yes. So that is like the what question. Then away, you give the background, do some bit of articulation, put certain things there. Then the why question is what? What is the why question? Somebody made a certain statement. I think, boss, you answer that. Your problem statement. Or you've not seen anything like that before. You've seen it before. It is okay. Let me tell you this. When I am supervising students, normally masters, PhD, MSc, MPhil. Do you know what I do? When I take your work, you know what I do first? I jump in to go and look at the way you've written your problem statement. It's okay to me. I don't expect you the first time to write it perfect. You see, you may write, there may be some kind of problem, but you could say, oh, okay, no, the student has a very excellent idea. The problem could be what? The style of what? Of presentation. Please, the problem statement. For me, when I go through your work and a problem statement, there is no head and then the tail of it, it means that you don't know what you are doing, basically. Because if you cannot write down the problem the whole work seeks to solve, then in that case, why should you proceed? You don't need to proceed. Are we okay with that? It's okay. Right. Then you need to state what the objectives. Please, based upon the problem you are seeking to solve, what objective should you achieve in order to solve the problems? Do you understand that? So many you want to solve the problem, but doing that you need to achieve objective 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you understand that? Maybe the problem may be so big, so you break them into what? Into achievable points, meaning plans. Please be specific on that. Normally within the corporate world, or maybe in finance, when I would say objective should be what? Or maybe goal should be what? Smart. We're not talking about that. But could help you to be able to do what? To structure it. Please, when you state an objective, ask yourself, is it realistic? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Maybe an example could be this. One of the objectives is like this. I want to learn, or maybe this work seeks to explore maybe how an elephant can fly in 3 months. Is it realistic? Elephant to fly in 3 weeks or 3 months. Is it possible? Some of them, this is their title. The work, this is the whole. So the overall objective is that they want to see the impact of a slap of housefly on an elephant. I'm being a bit sarcastic here. How can a housefly slap an elephant to feel it? So some of us, in the first place, our topics, there's a problem with it. There are problems. Your supervisor plays a key role here. So I'm telling you from my experience, whether you like it or not, your completion don't depend upon some external people. Though when it goes external, fine. But it is what? Your supervisor. If your supervisor said, I'll go this way, what should they be? I want to go this way. Doctor, what do you think will happen? You will not finish. That means you're going to be what? A grandfather, a grandmother, what? I mean, STU. Do you see that? All right. So the rest, you can look at the rest very well. So please, introduction should be able to capture this. All right. So in terms of the how, so we'll take the how and what, and then zoom it. Now the how. Meaning methodology. We have 2 approaches, or we have 2 thematic areas. One, we have the quantitative approach. Then we also have what? The qualitative approach. But we also have a third one. Most of the times people don't use it, but of course others also use it. It's a combination of what? Quantitative and what? Qualitative. We call it what? A mixed method what? Approach. The quant and what? And then the quali. Please, who can help me? What's the difference between quantitative and then qualitative? Please, if you give examples without defining, give examples, I'm okay with it.
Please, if you talk of quantitative, we are talking about how voluminous the thing is, and qualitative is talking about the impact, how influenced the thing is.
The impact?
Yes.
Now, quant will also have impact on quant.
Okay. The
For
quantitative.
instance, let's say that maybe the impact of inflation on you, the impact of increment in fees on you, is not quant. Fees is quant.
Yes.
Maybe on expenditure is quant. All right. Who can help? Yes, sir. Somebody sitting at the back there. Let's hurry up so we can break. So after this, when you go home, sit down quietly. If I want to start something, these 4 questions, how do I answer them?
When we talk of the qualitative, we are talking about using non-numerical values in the research work. Then when we talk of the quantitative, that is the use of numerical values. For example, age. Age can be quantified.
Okay. Well, at your level, I would say I agree with you, but in reality, you know what, I'll demonstrate that. At his level, at your level, well, it's okay. Of course, so maybe, yes, then last person before we go on.
Okay, please, to my understanding, the qualitative talks about how people see your outcomes or your results, whilst the quantitative talks about whether your research can be measured, whether it's a, what's it called, measurable something.
Yes, I like it, by the way. So the quality is just the quality. You want to be like form of description, other things. Then
Yes.
the quant is what?
The quality, quantitative,
Yeah.
it's talking about the measurable aspect. Is
Okay.
it something that you can measure?
Okay, all right.
Like in data aspect?
Okay, that is fine. So I'm going to now ride on her back to say this. Now let's take something. That is going to help us to understand. Now let's assume, I think most of it is some kind of maybe statistics, isn't it so? We have nominal data, ordinal data, and broadly speaking, cardinal data, right? When we say nominal, so I'm coming. Nominal here basically means that it is, let's say, maybe purely categorical. Some will say categorical data. An example, we are here. Can we categorize the number here into two groups, males and what? And females. Do you see that? Males and what? And females. Then when we are done, what I was saying, when we are done, so okay, let us represent males by 1 and females by what? By 2. So we say, we call something a dummy, D-U-M-M-Y, a dummy variable. So in that case, it tells us nothing. When I see 1, it is a male. When I see 2, it is what? It's a female. Now, if that is the case, purely qualitative, but if I say 1 plus 2 in that perspective, what does it mean? Meaning a male plus a female is equal to what? Male female. Or hermaphrodite. So you see, that's more of what? Qualitative. Wouldn't me add, you can't add the 2. So it's purely what? Nominal. So do you see that? Now let's take something like maybe taste. Let's take taste. Okay, before I come to taste, let's take you students. Now, do you know that I can categorize you into groups that shows a bit of an order of increasing or order of what? Decreasing. For instance, level 100 students, level 200 students, level 300 students. Let's just take these two. Do you have level 100? Level 400. So we have what? Level 100, 200, 300, 400. How many categories? 4. That, what does it mean? You could see that there is an order of what is increasing, which basically means that level 200 students is higher in terms of the ranking than what? Level 100. Level 400 is what? Higher than what? 300, 200, and what? And then 100. That one is more what we call it what? An ordinal, meaning there's an order in what? The data we're talking about. Take something like taste. Maybe Hajia will prepare kuli or let's say maybe Fula for allergy. It's also. The kuli may be sweet, sweeter, and what? Sweetest. So in that case, we are still categorizing taste. Sweet, sweeter, and sweetest. So we can say, okay, 1 is sweeter, 1 is sweet, 2 is sweeter, 3 is sweetest. Okay, what of 1 plus 3? Meaning sweet plus sweetest is what? So do you see that? So what I want to say here is that the data we'll be using at times would force us to either go with what? Either quantitative or what? Qualitative. Now for instance, I want to talk about your age. What is your age? Yes? Say anything. But don't tell me 12 years. 20 years, what is your age? 21 years, what is your age? 20 years. Do you know I can add their ages? Can't I add their ages? I can add. I can multiply. I can divide. So that one, we say it is what? It's more of a cardinal. Do you see that? Listen carefully. It fulfills the nominal, meaning we have age brackets. It fulfills what? The nominal categories. It fulfills the what? The ordinal, Meaning if you are 20, somebody is 21, in terms of order, what happens? 21 is what? Older than what? 20. Then it is, if you face what? We can add. That's what the cardinal. Do you see that? Some will say ratio. Right. So please, we need to be able to understand that. So now we understand, say, quantitative, at the end of the day, we can, in terms of measurements. But also listen. Let's take an example. The case of allergy love in Hajia. Can you measure love? Can you measure love? Can you measure love? Or maybe I am asking maybe the wrong people, because most of you, you are young, you're very innocent. Oh, you are not innocent. So do you see that? So please, it is what? It is purely what? So at your level, let me introduce you to these two things. We have two types of data sets in what I'm coming to say. One, those that we can observe, those that we can hold, meaning they are observable, they are what? Manifest. You can write observable or what? Manifest. Do you understand? I mean, they can manifest, meaning they are observable. Do you see that? So your age is observable variable. You can observe it. Your income, observable. Do you see that? But when I take love, so love, we say it is what? It is a latent or unobservable what? Variable. And please listen carefully here. For instance, maybe the young man, so for instance, oh, you like her. Can we observe it? Can we measure it? But of course, what is done here is that we would ask him a set of questions, then try to place weights on those questions. Based upon his answer, we can deduce or infer that actually the gentleman likes what? The lady. So do you see that? If that to be his weight, we can just bring what? SK here, take his weight, his height, we take his height. Therefore, love, no, we can't do that. We have to find clever ways of trying to at least trying to let's say maybe collect data from him based upon his answers to deduce. Do you understand that? That is what you call that. All right. So I've given examples here. All right. Okay. So we've now seen what? The difference on that. One thing I also want to pass across here. You know, when he stood up as what? As an electrical engineering student, Minyaka said more than yes, because they do what? You use a lot of what? Models. You use a lot of what? Equations. You use a lot of what? Designs. Is it also good? You know, when it gets to a point, we want to use an equation or maybe a frame or let's say maybe something small to represent the real thing. For instance, we've spoken about what? Allergy and what? And Hajia. But in reality, do you think that we can represent the full love of allergy or the characteristics, the love of allergy towards Hajia in an equation? Is it possible? Is it possible? Listen carefully. Technically, yes, we could represent it up to a point. Do you see that? We can't represent it as exactly as allergy would exhibit love towards what? Hajia. So what does it mean? It means that anytime we want to do that representation, we are going to introduce what they call what? An error. Pachotias here. Which basically means that whatever you do, even when we are even taking his measurement, boss, please stand up. Let's want to take his measurement. Are we going to be 100% correct? Is it possible to be 100%? Is it possible? Is it possible? Maybe even the scale is even wrong. maybe a tape measure. Have you ever been to a teller where you see the tape measure? No, the tape measure is torn. He will tie it and then how is it going to get it correct? Thank you very much. Now, I'm talking about error here. It is seriously important. Do you know that some of the errors, basically, it is not coming from you? For instance, maybe I want to come and interview you people. I want to do what? Interview you. Then I want a response from you to be able to make what? An informed decision. Then, boss, I go to this boss. Do you know that the environment in which I ask questions, this gentleman will give me different answers? Do you know that? Let's say, for instance, before his pastor, when I say, do you have a girlfriend? I'm going to say, no, you know, I'm a child of God. I can't do this. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that at times, people's responses can even mislead your what? Your research. It's like this galamsey menace, this galamsey 10. Oh, the baby and your galamsey, what I know why they are behind it. But if I ask you, oh, they have a girlfriend among boys, maybe it's not having a girlfriend, no. Among boys, so if I don't say yes, the guys they will laugh at me. Yes, I have a boyfriend. I have a girlfriend. So what I want to say is that in all research you are going to do, there's going to be an error component. But please, what do we do about that? Please, the focus is that you cannot eliminate error. What are you supposed to do? You minimize. In research, we have two types of error. We have type 1 error. I don't want to bulk it out with the mathematics and a type 2 error. You see, when you are trying to minimize the type 1 error, what are you doing? You're introducing more of what? The type 2 error. When you're also trying to minimize type 2 error, what are you doing? You are increasing it. So what are you supposed to do? What does that mean? Meaning we're trying to do what? To balance it. Those of you in science, now take a very fast moving object. We call something Heisenberg uncertainty principle. I don't know, maybe if you most of you are science students. You see, it's moving fast. You want to measure the position, at the same time the speed. If care is not taken, what are you going to do? You end up sacrificing one for the other. So what are we supposed to do? We allow a certain, meaning we try to allow, I'm using the word that may be a bit tautology, but within science, we try to accept a certain allowable error. Do you understand that? That you are forced to do something. If you don't take time, you end up doing something. It's just like maybe church. Please, Christians, forgive me. I'm a child of God. You came here to come and learn. It's good to worship God. It is examination week. It is good to pray. You go inside the field, you pray, you don't read your books. Doc, what do you think will happen? You will not pass. Because the Bible said that God is going to bring remembrance. What do you know? So it simply means, so that's to tell us what? The error in what? In a research we're talking about here. All right. So how many minutes more? How many minutes more? Okay. So I will introduce you to this. Whether I like it or not, you're going to get something like this. Now, when we say modeling, model, you can say modeler. Basically, it's like there is a certain situation and you want to represent it in what? In a very simplified form. Please, in research, there is what we say, be brief or parsimony. Parsimony. So it simply means that in research, be as simple as possible. Don't think complexity is synonymous to what? To accuracy or maybe superiority. No. Those of us in high quant, it will shock you that very simple systems, very simple models tend to outperform what? The complex ones. Be simple. But I am not saying it's a no one also is oversimplify things. Be as simple as what? As possible. What are we supposed to be? As simple as what? As possible. Even your presentation, be very simple. You know, Albert Einstein said one thing. He said, if you have an idea and you can't present it to your 6-year-old boy or girl, then you don't understand it. You know, at times what I do, it is better if you want to conceptualize idea with high level of originality, at times do it in a mother tongue. True of us. And that brofona be how? Do my trees no good. I hope you understand me. Brofona be how? What if a brofona to enjoy? Na fa chi na dwere ho yie. Wo ji ho yie wi na ye na brofona na ba. Go to some of the secondary schools, some of the JSS. You go to a village. Obanya F the battery e kwapin tree na ha obanya de obanya one. That is the problem of Africa. Why should I learn someone's language in order to do something? Let's assume somebody like, you know, how many of us have heard of acrobat before? Let's say acrobat, you are a tree person, acrobat is teaching you this in tree. You don't sleep in class. Santo, blessed memory, is teaching you electrical engineering, maybe fluid mechanics. Santo is teaching fluid mechanics. What do you think will happen? Or maybe that's mechanical engineering. Or maybe systems engineering. Santo is teaching you that. How will you feel? All right. So, let's end at this point and summarize at this point. Whether you like it or not, you are going to collect data. Please, how do you collect data? How do you collect data? To also learn how to collect data, you need to know what you want to collect. So at your level, I will start with very basic. We have two also types of data sets. In terms of sources, we have what? We have primary data and what? Secondary. Primary and what? Secondary. Is there any tertiary? Is there a primary school, secondary school, anything, any tertiary? So what's primary? Let's hurry up. Let me run up. My time is almost up. What's primary? What's primary data source? Primary data source. Oh, please, when you answer, I'll clap for you. So please. Somehow. I can see one Alaji at the back there. Alaji, I like your cap. Alaji with a white cap. No, Alaji is you. You who is standing. Can you help us? What's primary data source? Primary. Don't tell me though, it's a data source that we collect from the primary schools. Who can help? Yes, our boss. Okay, I don't want to. Good. They collect at first hand. But times to some secondary because you also collect at first hand. But for now, I don't want to spoil things. Good. What of secondary? Secondary data sets. Help me. I think you'll help me again. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. My promise. Let's clap for the gentleman. Let's clap for him. What secondary? We'll clap for you again. Okay. Let's clap. I want this time harder. Yes, he's right. You see, the case of love issue here, let's assume I want to actually study about money given and then love. So I collected data from you people, used for my research. That's basically like primary. The secondary basically means that when I am done, maybe I've put the data into a usable form and stored it. So you come to me now, oh, please, Francis, can you help me with the data that you use? So this is that. At times, you are forced to use both primary and secondary. Maybe the data that I have may not be fully useful to you, so you need to augment, you need to add by doing what? Going out to collect more data sets. Do you understand that? Good. To finalize, we have 3 data types in this perspective. We have a time series, we have a cross-sectional, then longitudinal or what a panel data sets. Now, let's assume I want to ask you that, oh, how do you see campus life? I come with a questionnaire. Please, I'm expecting that you give me very genuine answer. But I may not be in a position to interview all of you. So, in terms of data collection, we call something what? Sampling. Have you heard of sampling before? Sampling. We could have a very simple, we have what we call probabilistic sampling and what? Non-probabilistic sampling. The first probabilistic one is what? Is the simple random, which basically means that maybe I need about 80 of you. So what do? Meaning each and every one here has equal chance of being selected. We call it what? That's very simple. Now we have what we call maybe systematic. Meaning I'll count every 10 students. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So meaning I'll pick what? Every 10th student is what? Systematic. And then others. Other one is purely non-probabilistic. Meaning, let's say maybe purposive. Maybe here, I am specific. Let's say, I want to see how the way you feel, let's say, taste about maybe food on campus here. That's like sorry the tree. One of them say they know how to cook. Which people? Which people? Maybe they will say fancies. Is it not so? So in that case, purposely I will interview only the fancy. Please, fancies forgive me. I'm married to a fancy woman, so please forgive me. So in that case, I will do what? I will interview what? Only fancy women. So in that case, it's what? It is no more probabilistic. It is a bit biased. It is not probabilistic. Why should I interview only fancy women? I have a purpose that no, because that they know how to cook. Because when you even give her a boiled egg, she still want to fry it for you. So do you see that? Now, then we also have to call, I like the snowball. Snowball, some of you may do something related to snowball. You know a snow, it's a ball, you throw it like this and it will blast and direct you. For instance, there is an area that it will be very difficult to meet the people. You speak with one, then they will do what? They will refer you. For instance, now Ghana people are now saying that, hey, economic situations are very difficult. So because of that, slave queen is not high. Or maybe slave kings, you know, have slave queens and slave kings. You know that? So meaning the level of prostitution is so high. So in that case, you can't go and ask, Madam Mpacho, we are prostitute. You can't go and ask that. You do your best and try to get one. Then you interview her or interview him, say, oh, okay, please. Given this one, will you be willing to refer me, or are some of your colleagues willing to also participate? You see that? Or it could be in form of maybe a sickness. You are studying some form of sicknesses. And some people, when they are talking about maybe something of their problem, is as if like psychologically they don't want to do that. Except maybe you pre-inform them, maybe you persuade them before they do what they'll talk about that. So now, that is how it goes about. To be able to understand these three is this. Let's assume the case of the fancy women here. I will interview them only once. Let's maybe we have about 20 fancies here. I will do what? Interview them only once. Meaning multiple fancies once. We call it what? The cross-sectional data set. It's what? Cross-sectional. Only once, cross-sectional. Now, let's say maybe time series. Maybe in the case of time series, I'll pick only one fancy woman. I will interview her this month. The following month, I interview her. The following month, I do what? Interview her. The following month, I do what? Interview her. The following month, interview her. So it means that this fancy woman has been interviewed how many times? About maybe 15 times, 10 times. So it says what? It's a timer series. It's what? A timer series. It's what? A timer series. Now, when we talk about a panel or longitudinal, that one, what you do here is that maybe I want to interview all of you. Maybe I will do the interview what? Weekly. Is it also? I'll do it what? Okay, weekly is 2 months. Let's say maybe monthly or let's say maybe yearly. So in that case, we say it is what? It is both time series and cross-sectional. When we put it together, we have what we call what? Longitudinal. But there are some small problems with the longitudinal. Let's assume I do the data interview yearly. You are now maybe, I interview, you are now, let's say maybe a level 200. So it means that when I interview this year, so I'm going to do the interview for how many years? Let's say maybe for 4 years. I interviewed you for the first year, so you are going to what? Level 300. I interviewed for the second year, you are now going to what? Level 400. The third year, will I get you again? No. Or it could be that some of us say, I don't understand this man. You've been interviewing us, campus life. After interviewing, at least give us maybe a bottle of Coke or maybe some small pie. So some people can drop out of what? Out of the sample. Some people could also be purely that, okay, maybe you found maybe even year 1, you are in year 1. I interview year 1. Year 2, maybe you won maybe Green Lotto to the US. Then you are gone. So they see that. So please, in summary, what have you done so far? As about your thesis, about your project work, about what? Your dissertation. How do you start? Answer 4 main questions. The first question is what? The what question. Into what simply means, please try to write something down to guide you. Man, don't say you know it here. No. Do you even know that some experts are even saying that if you have goals to achieve in life, when you write it on, let's say on a paper or on something, there is the high likelihood of doing what? Achieving it. Not just a minimum 3. No. Write it down. It's like even Haji will tell you, even if I like to say, oh, Haji, I love you. Haji, I love you. And even writes on what? On a gift, Haji, I love you. Don't you feel that impact? So they say that. Write it. What is the second question? The why question. The why question will be like what? Your problem statement. Please, literature review. As Dr. Jumandia said, read. Let me tell you one thing. Please, to be honest with you, at times at the lower level, I attended a village secondary school. The way they taught us English, please, I respect my teachers. I'm not here to destroy. No, I respect teachers. But the way we taught English, we were taught only comprehension. They didn't teach us grammar like to read right. You remember, those of us who attended village SS, they will go and bring, GSS. I started with the village primary, village second, GSS, and village what? Secondary. They will you go and carry the books from the office, they will read and answer and go. You know what I have realized? If it is me, no. They should teach you grammar, how to write. The subject-verb agreement. So if you look at the current student, these private schools, when I was in tech, first degree tech, when we started, people coming from Owaza, Prempe, Infantipima, Wesley Girls, Holy Child, in Volta region, it is more or less Bishoman College, Baseka, Homauli. When you mention Baseka, when I mention them, you see people laughing. So we're in class. I want to ask something. You see me? Minimum. So one day, let me tell you, but don't call me that nickname. They gave me a certain nickname. One day, we went to a chemistry class and I asked, this one said that, what is quantum mechanics? I said, what is quantum mechanics? And they've nicknamed me at that moment. They know my mistake. When you said that, I become so angry. So when somebody gives a nickname, accept it and it will be done. I'm done. Thank you very much. To remember nickname, accept it. Don't reject it. All right. So the 4 questions. They are what, why, how, and significance. If you answer these 4 questions genuinely, don't deceive yourself. Minim. so the ubwa unim. Be honest with you yourself, and you think you go far. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You can do it again for Dr. Francis Achu, for that wonderful presentation. So now the floor is open for questions and answers. If you have any question, you raise up your hand, the gentleman will locate you, give you the microphone, then you ask your question. Doug is still up here to answer you.
So before you ask questions, I want us to understand that some of this training, take opportunity of that, is just to create a relationship. If you have a problem, feel free, ask. You can email, oh, this is my problem, how do I go about it? But at times, when you want to email, be specific with your problem. Let me tell you one thing. Please, social networking. I am not saying that, I'm not talking about networking for boyfriend, girlfriend. No. I'm talking about what? Networking. Please, let me give a very simple example. Do you know that, Baomia's wife was at Gimpa for a program. Mahama, wife also at Gimpa for a program. They were in what? Study groups. So if your study mate is now the first lady, what do you think will happen, Doc? What do you think will happen? People became ministers, other things, because of what? Because of this network. So please, networking, I cannot overemphasize the importance of networking. Into questions about, feel free, ask. Please don't just end it here. If there are problems, let us know. We are willing to be able to help. Obi hotel or media or by force. Masa, please.
Thank you, Doug. Is there any hand? Who are someone beside us? There's a gentleman in the back. God bless you. Give the microphone to him.
Please, thank you. Please, my name is Festus Akanare. My question is about research design. But please, Doc hasn't said anything about it, but I was hoping he could help me. If you have a research and you are going to deal with, let me say, physical observation of an object, let me say, the physical analysis of this building. By the end of the day, you want to also test the quality of the building. I'm a BT student, so in order to test the quality of this building, we have ways that you can do that. And in that way, you wouldn't be dealing with the descriptive part, we'll be dealing with the quantitative part of that side. Yeah. So what type of data or research design are you going to adopt for your research?
Okay, in terms of when I say design, it's a bit broad. Do you want to go qualitatively or what, or quantitatively?
That's what I'm saying. It's like the topic is about observing the defects in this building, in this auditorium.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you want to measure the quality of the various elements.
Okay.
That's the beams, the columns, the floors.
So in that case, technically it should be more of a mixed method, more of a mixed design. Because some of them, you would say, look at how the way it is. But you can be able to confirm that using some kind of specialized instrument to measure.
Yes, please.
So do you see that? So in that case, it is going to be called a mixed method. And please, some of the research, you cannot do it alone. Let's assume you started, but you're not good at qualitative. So what are you supposed to do? As you see that. So my brother, that one is more of a mixed type of method. So that's what I'm saying. At times, when it gets a point, you may not be able to use only one. You should be able to use what? Let me give another example. Maybe quantitatively, I want to know maybe your expenditure behavior pattern anytime you receive your student loan. When I was at Tech, when you receive your student loan, the first few days, what told me there? Maybe you should go and buy maybe some kind of bankuts and joint. So maybe they check. This that. So when there's money, what happens? The money pushes you to do what?
And more.
to spend more, because it means that our taste and preference will change when what happens, income does what increases. So in that case, I will just take all of you quantitatively and analyze. But that may not be enough. There may be, I want to understand certain nitty-gritty. So in that case, I will do what? Follow up with what? With qualitative. Meaning I'll take a few of you, go deeper. One, for instance, maybe could be upbringing. There are some people who want to talk about rice or some chicken, check. No, they don't. The others do want to talk about rice, chicken, or fowl. You know the difference between chicken and fowl? Chicken is what is the, Obasanjo said that too. Chicken is the imported or maybe the poultry one, and fowl is what the local one. So we should eat more fowl than chicken. So you see that? So I hope you understand that. So at the end of the day, it depends upon whatever you want to do. That will determine the design of it. For me, as I stand here, mostly I go purely quant, but of late, I have no choice to go a bit of quality. Do you know the reason why? I'm now beginning to look at some of this climate change risk. Climate change. Because the attitude of the people would influence certain climate dynamics. For instance, we call something the natural ways of of dealing with climate change risk. We have two types. We have the fiscal risk and then the transition risk. Maybe natural ways by planting trees. Do you know you may plant trees because of our behavior? We want to burn charcoal. We'll go to the forest and go and make cut indiscriminately. So the result, you see that? In that case, I can't use only purely quant. What am I supposed to do? The design should be partly quant and partly quality. But what I will do is that, you know the trick I'm going to do? I will concentrate on what I'm very good at doing and bring another expert to come and then fill in my weakness. So boss, depending upon whatever you want to do, that will depend upon the design. But let me give one trick. Let's assume, doctor, please, what's your area? Is it quant or quali? He did mixed method, but let's assume that maybe doc loves more quant. And they also want quant, quali. Do you know that at times what we love tend to influence even the way we supervise students? So for instance, when you bring your work to me to supervise, you know what I'm going to do? If it's quality, I'll find a clever way to push her to go into quant. So in that case, advice, wouldn't say, qualitative, be careful to go for a qualitative supervisor. Are you okay? So design depends upon whatever you want to do. But mostly, at times, we use a mixed method design to be able to help us. Because of time, I didn't say a lot of things here. Please, there's something called sampling frame. Sorry, please, my time. I've heard people say sampling frame. This example. Before I'll go out and come and collect data, I need to understand the population dynamics of STU. Maybe I have realized that, okay, in STU, we have about, let's say, maybe 55% women and 45% men. Is it not so? So in that case, okay, let me take some complete figures so that I can say whatever I want to say. Let's say we have, maybe 60% women and 40% men. So in my sampling frame, I need to state, okay, if that's the case, to fairly, if I want my sample to fairly represent the views on students, both men and women, then every 10 students I'm going to choose, then it means that 6 must be women and 4 must be men. Do you understand that? Because of time, I couldn't, some of the time, because of time. So that's also why this is just a starting point. If you have problems, let us know. We call it sampling frame. And even at times when I even going to collect data, at times it is not advisable maybe yourself to even go. We have what you call enumerators. Some people are trained specially to do to collect data on your behalf. You see that? Then please, how many of us know Google Forms here? Google Forms? Google Forms? Google Forms, meaning online, the way you submit your questionnaire to people to fill. Do you understand that? We can do Google Forms. Some can do survey We have a lot. Kubo Toolbox, ODK, and then the rest. It's just a starting point. But please, I'll tell you one thing. I want you to be a bit inquisitive. Do it yourself. Try to start something. You see, let me tell you the trick. Now, let's assume that maybe 10 people emailed, oh, Francis, we have a problem in this. Your case, you were able to say, okay, Francis, I have a problem in this. My problem is so specific. This, that. Who do you think I'm going to respond first? I'll respond to you first than what others. Because if you ask me something which is so vague, bro, I don't know where to start. I maybe say, okay, please, my brother or my sister, can you come clearer on what your problem is? So do you see that? So my brother, so it depends on what, on the way you want to be able to look at. And there are some subject areas it is more tilted towards what? Quant. Do you see that? All right. We call something to interdisciplinary type of subjects. Where, for instance, electrical engineering could go and maybe collaborate with, let's say maybe a philosopher to do research. Is it possible? Is it possible? Electrical engineer and philosopher. Is it no? It's possible. Let's say a psychologist and a finance person to do research. Is it possible? Is it possible? It's possible. We call something what? We call it what? The behavioral finance. Do you see that? Do you see that? Let me give an example. How many of us have ever gone into gambling here before? Gambling. Either betting, lotto, rambo. How many of us? Don't do it again. Wow. Let me give an example. Do you know that, let's say you have 100 Ghana cedis from your pocket. If you go to, let's say maybe a gambling house, you win another 100 Ghana cedis. So how much do you have? 100 from your own pocket and 100 from where? From the gambling. Now, when you lose both, which one will you feel more pain towards? Which one will you feel more pains? The one you brought from the house. We call it what? Illusion of money. It's psychology. Why? I don't know 100 Ghana cedis. Why you put them up premium or the one you brought from home, that or the one you won there? Their own money. It's not here. So now we've now moved to a point where interdisciplinary subjects are very, very excellent. At times you are doing an area, you can even talk to maybe a student to see, talk to a colleague, see how the person can be able to help. Please, Mr. Ramapa, bet M1, super bet M1. I am speaking from experience. Please, I am speaking from experience. M1, super bet M1, Lotto M1. I used to be a leading Lotto forecaster, so please, M1. More questions? If you don't have question, I'll fire one question before I sit down. When the question comes, I fire. If you don't ask, I have to ask. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Please, I'm in Daslas, and I would like to ask about, please, sir, please, you talk about literature review.
Yes, sir.
And then you also let us know that during our project work or research work, sometimes we make mistakes, errors.
Yeah.
We make a lot of errors. And then I had wanted to know that could there be instances that the number of errors that we make have effect on our conclusion? Because I learned that after you have done with your research work, you have to make conclusion and make limitations.
Yeah.
So could there be instances that your errors will affect your limitations?
Yes, now I'll tell one thing. When we say limitations, be careful. Limitation doesn't mean you should shoot yourself in the foot. Let me give you an example. Having collected data, a limitation could be that, okay, this research could have been more enhanced if there were to be more time to have gone to other universities to do what? To collect data. But because of limited time, you restricted your collection to what? Only STU. It's a good limitation. Someone say, okay, limitation of the study. The analysis, I use fake data to do the analysis. What's the meaning of that? Is there a limitation? So what, I'm just trying to be funny here. What I want to mean is that limitations, yes. But at the end of the day, try to state limitations in a good way, not what? Not a bad way. Even for instance, take a young lady that, let's say a guy, you approach, you know, the lady knows that you are interested in her. So, hello baby, hello lady. Please, can you tell me much about yourself? What will he say? Maybe you're a gambler. So, oh, then maybe the lady is a gambler. The lady she's a gambler. Will he say you are a gambler? But I'm not saying go and tell lies, so I'm not talking about that. You see, you try to present the good aspect of it. Even if you want to present the bad aspect of it, it should be something that's more allowable, something that's sort of more realistic. For instance, financing could be a constraint. Timing could be a constraint. Take maybe a final year student. Maybe you have only 6 months, maybe 4 months to finish your work. Do you have the time to say, okay, you go to Kumasi, go and collect data here, go to Accra, go to North? Is it possible? Even if it's possible, look at the financial implications on that. So do you see that? So please, limitations. So at the end of the day, make sure that you try to minimize your errors. When I say minimizing error, which basically means that let's do our best to make sure we measure our data a bit accurately, the source of the data. And please, I want to make this statement, and forgive me, listen carefully. Don't trust data anyhow like that. Even if your pastor brings you data, don't trust it. Even if your bishop brings you that, don't trust it. That's also why it is good when you have data, try to do a bit of ballparking with your eyes, some of them to use some kind of softwares to see. You need to take out outliers. Let's say, for instance, I was taking people your ages. Then, mistakenly, I gave Hajia 120 years. What happens? Now, that one is an unpardonable error. Or I end up giving this lady -20. Is it -20? You see that? It's an unpardonable error. Now, let me tell you one thing. Some of the data point, it is correct. It is not wrong. It is correct. But at times, you are forced to take it out. Maybe you want to look at maybe salary levels of people in this country. Then you go and take a CEO of, let's say, maybe Memfansebia Baku, CEO of Memfansebia, take Governor Bank of Ghana. Some of them take over 100 and something thousand Ghana cities. Then you go and take, let's say, maybe, you go and take Memfansebia, Kanaka teacher who is taking maybe 1,500, maybe 1,200. You want to compare? Does it make sense? So I hope you understand that. So please, which basically means certain things are so unpardonable that please, you have to make it a point. So do you see that? So that's why your data, try to do what they call preliminary type of analysis. Look at the data. Is there any problem with the data? Is it correct? You can plot to see how data looks like before you proceed. That one you can be able to. But please, you can never eliminate error. Is it possible to eliminate error? No, you can't eliminate error. Even human life, we make a lot of mistakes, but we try to minimize our negative sides. All right. Any question? Are you okay? Any question? Okay. If there's no question, I'm going to ask one last question myself. And who will answer? If you answer, we'll clap for you. I want prefer somebody in glasses. Somebody in glasses. So, boss, you are one. You are two. Don't remove your glasses. Okay, boss. Choose somebody for me to answer a question. To ask my question. Choose somebody for me to ask my question. You can choose yourself. Choose somebody for me. You can choose yourself or choose somebody for me. Oh no, it's not a difficult question. I want to ask what you have we've done so far. Now, if you don't have a topic, how will you proceed? That's what I want to mean. So into son of fiasie. What would be then over again? It wasn't the 4 questions I'm talking about, the four. The 4 are, can you help me? They are what? They are the what? The why? How?
And
what?
significance.
Significance. All right. So thank you very much. If there are no other questions, I wish you the best. Our doors are open. If there's any problem, let us know. But if you have a problem, you want to be specific. Be specific. Oh, okay, I'm doing this. This is the problem. So that when we want to help, we can be able to help within a shortest time possible. All right. So thank you very much. All right.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Francis Achu, Senior Lecturer at the GEMPA. Now, with your indulgence, we will kindly take our final presentation. At the beginning, I told you we'll be having 3 speakers. Now we are done with 2. It's left with the last speaker. And then with my singular honor, I would like to please don't go. The item 13 is on its way coming. Mokwa Medini now. The item 13 is on its way coming. So, I'll now introduce to you. Okay, Prof will just come upstairs very soon. Yes. So the final presentation will last for 30 minutes. Then we are done. The final presentation will last for 30 minutes. Kindly stay. It's a 2-day program. Today is the first day. We'll continue tomorrow for the second presentation. So please sit down very soon. The ushers will come in with your item 13 very soon. In between time, if you have any question too, you can ask before Prof comes. Please, respectfully, can we all stand up? Let's stand up. Please, let's all stand up. Let's all stand up. Let's stretch small. Can we stretch our hands? Stretch. Respectfully, let's sit down. God bless you. Let's sit down. Let me also thank you for your patience. In fact, you've really exhibited an enormous patience for us. President, you said there's a question. Where's the microphone? You have the microphone. Ask. Dr. Chu, I think there is a question for you.
Sir, please, my question is, how do you come by a research topic?
That's what they're coming to do.
So,
the process. So that's what. So.
All right. That's a good question. And thankfully, the next presenter is going to tell us how to come out with a research topic. Or question? You said question or topic? Yes. So let me introduce to you Professor Francis Fatoye. Prof is at the Manchester Metropolitan University in the UK. He's a full professor, very experienced lecturer, and a researcher. Prof, you are welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back here. But I feel as if I'm a pastor here, so I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable. So because I'm not a pastor today. Okay. So within the next 30, 40 minutes or so, we are going to be looking at, can everybody hear me? Right, okay. So can we be quiet, please?
Please, those at the back, can you please sit down? We are beginning a new presentation. Please, kindly, you just go up, sit down so that. Somebody asked that, how do you come with a research topic? And Prof is here to tell us how to come about with a research topic. So please, let's sit down, remain quiet, and listen. Just jot things down. When he's done, we'll give you the opportunity to ask questions. Prof, you can continue.
Thank you very much. So, as I was saying, can you hear me now? Good. Right. This afternoon, we're going to be looking at developing research idea, developing research concept, developing research question. So they all mean the same thing. So next slide, please. So just a bit about my background. I'm not going to talk so much about this. But the reason why I normally show this slide is to encourage people, young people like you, because I was once like you. So I started like you. So if I can do it, definitely you can do it. So the only difference perhaps might be that I went to the best university in the world, which is University of Ibadan. Have you heard about University of Ibadan before? So you know that that's the best university in the world. So it's about mentality. So are there Christians here? As I said, I'm not preaching. So the Bible says, as a man thinks, so he is. Okay? So if you think you can do it, you will definitely do it. If you think you cannot do it, so you will not be able to do it. And I'm sure you have a version in the Quran, as a man thinketh. So if you think positive, you become positive. If you think negatively, negativity becomes part of you. So you can be successful as a researcher. So as I said, these slides will be made available. So I'm not going to talk so much about this. I'm not bragging or showing off. But even if I'm showing off, I'm a Nigerian, so it's allowed. So we do show off. Nigerians, you know Nigerians show off? Yes, so if I'm showing off, then you can pardon me. You say, well, he's a Nigerian anyway, so he's showing off. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm hoping at the end of this session that you should be able to do what? To be able to know what a research is. You should know research process. You should be able to develop a research question or research idea or research concept. And finally, you should know the characteristics of a good research question or research concept or research idea. So next slide, please. So my class, as always, will be participatory. Is what you will put in that you're going to get is garbage in, garbage out. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. We're going to be doing it together. So I'm going to be learning from you as well, because you know many things that I don't know. So we learn from one another. So I'll be posing questions to you, and then through that we generate new knowledge. Is that okay? So I'm going to be depending on you, and I have the permission from the university authority to pick on people, to call on people. If you refuse to answer, then I'm going to call you to answer. And the victims usually are people in front and at the back. Okay, so, right, next slide, please. So, a rule of 30 seconds. So, what do you understand by research? I'm sure everybody knows this, but I don't want to take it for granted. So, I give you 30 seconds. Speak to the person sitting next to you. Ask or discuss with them what you understand by research, and then we can bring our ideas together in the next 30 seconds. So, what is research? Who wants to start us off? Have we got the other microphone in the audience? Collins, where's the microphone, please? Yeah. Okay. So, what is research? Yes, we have somebody at the back. Thank you.
All right, thank you. To my understanding, what I know about research is how you organize information or retrieve information to gain facts.
Okay. So it's about understanding a concept to gain facts. Okay? Yes? Any other? Yes, please.
It refers to the systematic measures or process put in place to acquire new knowledge or idea.
Systematic what?
Measures or process.
So it's a systematic way of gaining new
idea,
new knowledge.
Yeah.
So can somebody write it down? Facts? Can somebody write systematic? Can somebody write new knowledge? Okay. Yes, please. The next, yes, was somebody. No, I think behind you.
Research is the method taken to find out qualitatively and quantitatively the why, what, how, and the significance of any topic.
Okay, so again, it's about the significance.
It's a method.
It's a method.
Taken to, it's a method to qualitatively and quantitatively find out the what, the why, how, and the significance of any topic.
Is it a method or
Yes.
a process?
A process.
Okay. So, can somebody write it down? Research is a process. Just write a process. Yes, just a final comment. So is there any other person that wants to speak? So I'll be looking towards that row because we have had 2 rows speak. So what is research? I'm conscious of time because your item 13 will be here shortly. Right? So, because of time, we'll just go on very quickly. So, when we talk about research, so can people see this slide? Good. So, when we talk about research, this is my working definition. I absolutely agree with what everybody said, and well done, everybody. But then this is my working definition. So, research is a process of steps, or somebody said systematic process, used to collect and analyze information. Somebody used information or data to increase our understanding on a topic. So, research is a Sorry, we're just trying to make it more visible. Is this better? So as I was saying, so this is my working definition. So what we are doing when we do research, what we are trying to do is to discover new knowledge or generate new knowledge. That's the main thing that we are trying to do. Okay? And in generating new knowledge could be to approve or disprove existing knowledge. Could also be to validate or invalidate existing knowledge. So what I'm trying to say is that the step-by-step of analyzing or collecting data, analyzing data, what you are trying to arrive at is to generate new knowledge, and could also mean that you are trying to validate or invalidate an existing knowledge. Does that make sense? Because somebody said there is nothing new under the earth. As I said, we have pastor here. Dr. Ashu is a pastor, so I'm not going to preach. So there's nothing new under the earth. So in other words, everything that we get is already existing, but you can validate or invalidate it. Okay? So research as a process. So what are the processes, or what is the process that we go through when we conduct research? The first thing we do is to identify a problem. So what's the problem that you are trying to solve? Somebody was asking here that how do you come about generating research idea? It starts with what the problem is. What is the problem that you are going to solve? Is it the problem in the society? Is it the problem in workplace? Is it the problem in class? Is it a problem where you are doing your studies? So what is it that you are trying to solve? The problem. Then you do your literature review to identify what we call gaps, which we're going to be looking at probably tomorrow. And then you specify what the purpose is. Remember, this is different from identifying the research problem, because the problem might be a popular thing I've been saying in the last 24 hours or so is flight cancellation and flight delays. I traveled to Nigeria 4 weeks ago, and from Manchester, and my flight got cancelled on my way to Abuja. And when I was about leaving Abuja, my flight from Abuja to London, via London to Manchester was cancelled. And then when I was coming from Accra yesterday to Sunyani, our flight, we came on the same flight with Dr. Ashu. Our flight was cancelled and shifted by 2 hours. So in 4 weeks, three of my flights have been cancelled. So I'm quite passionate about knowing what the causes of flight cancellations or flight delays are. Does that make sense? So that's what so my concept or the problem is there are flight delays or flight cancellations. But that does not translate to a question yet. It's just an idea. So what is it now that I want to know about flight cancellations or flight delays? Is everybody on board with me? I can't hear you. Okay. So then the purpose of my study, if I want to do a study around that, will be I want to find out what are the causes of flight cancellations or flight delays. Remember, the concept is about flight cancellation or delays, but the purpose of my research, if I were to do research in that area, could be that I want to understand or find out what are the causes of flight delays. And then once you have specified the purpose of your research, then what you need to do is to collect your data. So you're going to come up with method of collecting your data, and I'm sure Dr. Ashu has told you about qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. Okay? So then once you collect your data, you do what? You analyze and interpret your data. Your data is meaningless if it's not analyzed. Your data is meaningless if it's analyzed and it's not interpreted, because it has to be interpreted to the right, so that the right audience can use your data. Your data would never be used if they are not analyzed and interpreted. I'm sure Dr. Ashu has taken you through this. And then once it's analyzed, then you don't just analyze it and put it in your cupboard. you need to do what? To write it up and disseminate it. So when you write it up, it could be in form of your dissertation, which probably you're going to be looking at tomorrow, or it could be that you are writing it up as a project report and submit to your supervisor who is going to be marking it, or you write it as a journal article and submit, or in form of policy document. So, what is a research concept? We just talked about that when I was giving the example of flight delays. So I'm not going to go into that. So it's basically a topic that you are interested in investigating. So where do research ideas come from, or research concept, or research question? Where do they come from? So I give you 30 seconds. So, and then I want us to discuss with the person next to you. And in those days, because I was a church boy, so it's a neighbor. So speak to your neighbor. So where do research ideas come from? So, yeah, so just ask them or discuss with your neighbor, where do research ideas come from? So, and then 30 seconds, and we'll bring back our feedback.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Feel free. If you want to stand up, you can stand. If you want to sit, just make yourself comfortable.
Okay, I thought that was what was causing there.
Okay, if you want to stand then, so if that will help.
All right. Research ideas comes from our mind. Like, to me, it's a plan or the thought that comes out of our minds.
Out of your mind?
Yes, please.
Okay. No. Just hold on. So, what is it then that influences your mind? So how does it come to you? I mean, you don't just sleep and wake up, except if you are a pastor like Pastor Ashri or Reverend, that just see vision.
All right. Okay, let me say, let's take moringa tree. So I've seen moringa. I've seen that people are going out for moringa.
Yeah.
So why are they going for this plant?
Very good. So what you are saying is research question can come from your personal experience.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I'm trying to find out why are they going for this. And beside that too, let me say, I have to know the therapeutic effect of that plant that we are taking.
Good. Thank you, thank you very much. Hello, somebody. Hello. So, there are two things that you have said there, and I completely agree with you. One, you are saying that your personal experience of seeing people. Two, you want to know the impact this is making on people's life in terms of the therapeutic effect. So which comes from the need of the society. Do they really need it? So what you are saying is two things, as I said. So necessity as one, two, your personal experience. Thank you. Yes, is there any other? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. To me, I think research ideas too comes when you face a challenge. Most of the times when you face a challenge, you try to find out what will I do to solve that challenge. So research ideas to come from problems. So when you identify
societal problem.
Yes,
so
sir.
like tragedy, you said it. A good example would be COVID-19. Or I'll say it the Ghanaian way, COVID-19. Yes. So tragedy or problem in the society. Yes, I agree with you. Any other? So if it's a problem, it needs addressing. Yes. Oh, you are bailing them out. So well done. So I'm not going to pick on that group now.
You can develop a research topic from maybe trying to bring a change to how certain things are done.
So if you are trying to you want to be an agent of change, yes, because you don't personally agree with what the standard practice is. So it's about being critical of an existing method or an existing procedure. I absolutely agree with you. Well done. Yes, final comment, and then we move on very quickly. Somebody upstairs, can you shout out? So that's the model of invention. Yes, curiosity. So you are just curious, again, in relation to being critical. You are just curious about a particular concept. You want to find it out. I agree. So, are there other things? Your environment that could influence where research idea will come from? I'm sure you know this. But because of time, so we've said experience, so your research idea could come from your personal experience. I do a lot of study on back pain because I have got problem with my back, so I have back pain. I'm a patient of back pain. So, and that's why I do a lot of research, even as a physiotherapist and a health economist. So from fellow students, you can get your research ideas from your fellow students. You can get research ideas from your supervisors, from your lecturers, from your professors. You can get research ideas from workplace, like somebody said, if you want to make change to an existing procedure or protocol. Or maybe a project your supervisor has asked you to undertake. You can develop a research idea from there. What about published literature or unpublished work that somebody else has done? The smartest way to get a research topic is just go to the library and look at dissertations that have been conducted in previous years. And look at a section. There will always be a section on limitations. They say, this study, the limitations are this. And then you want to improve on what somebody else has done. You can develop a research idea from that. Or you read academic journals, papers, they will always acknowledge limitations. And then those limitations, you can turn them around to make research questions. What about media? What about internet? These are sources of research question or research ideas. As I said, COVID-19, most people develop research ideas because of the noise going out in the media, noise going out on the social media. So a lot of people generated research ideas from there. So examples of research ideas are, because of time, okay, this is a bit clearer. So the first one on the left, as a result of the noise that people were making on COVID-19, and this was in Nigeria in particular, everybody was talking that, things were difficult, they didn't have money and things like that. So we decided to look at the economic impact of COVID-19 on what we call on lockdowns, because remember, most countries were on lockdown for months, to see whether it had any impact on them economically. So that's one. The second one here is about physiotherapy utilization and physiotherapy supply, because in developing countries, we know that physiotherapy services are limited. So what we tried to do was to see what are the factors or the determinants of supply and demand for physiotherapy. The other one was, it's on low back pain. We looked at clinical and cost effectiveness of low back pain. It was personal interest because it was something that as I said, I have a problem with my back. So the last one was generated by friends, and then they invited me to be part of it. So generating it from colleagues or from friends. So these are some examples of where research ideas came from. So why is a research idea or research question is important? Why do you have to develop a research question? So, a research problem, it is important to have it clear because it helps you to define what the problem is or what the problem you are trying to solve. It provides direction for you in terms of, because you know this is the direction of travel. So yesterday I was coming from Accra to Sunyani, so I was not going to board a plane going to Takrady, otherwise I would have been lost. So it helps to define where you are going, sets boundary as well. Then there will be no distractions because you know where you are going, what you want to achieve. So, excuse me, it also helps to choose appropriate methods to answer your research questions. Any questions at this stage before we go ahead? And of course, it helps to act as a reference for assessing your work in terms of aims and objectives, because if you have been able to set boundaries, you know whether you have achieved your aims and objectives. So, what are the factors you take into consideration in developing research ideas? I give you a rule of 30 seconds for, again, neighbor. So, what are the factors you take into consideration in developing a research idea? So, 30 seconds, discuss with your friends, and then we bring everything together.
All right, thank you. Factors to consider when developing a research. To me, first of all, I'll go for the target sites. The target sites, like the environment, environment, and the personnel. All right, that's what I can say.
Thank you. So, the environment in terms of maybe lab, if you are doing it in the lab, and we are talking about personnel, whether you have the right people that will undertake. For example, if you are doing it in a lab, and you need a research assistant to help you, or technician to help you in the lab. So if they are not available, that means you won't be able to undertake your research. Good? Yes?
Yeah, I'll also add one. I also like to talk about the impact on the society.
Good. So again, it's irrelevant. Is it impactful? Is it going to be solving societal problem? Yes?
I would also like to talk about the interest on the topic to choose. Then the availability of resources.
Thank you.
Resource material.
Thank you very much. So your personal interest is key. If you are not interested in a particular subject, research can be very lonely, because it's just you and a few people that will be undertaking the research. So it has to be something that is of interest to you. And resources, very important. And when we talk about resources, we're talking about time, we're talking about money, we're talking about equipment, and so on and so forth. Yes, please.
And I will also talk about the finances. I mean, the money that you use to do the research.
Right, okay. So again, that's part of resources. So finances, you're absolutely right. Any final comments? Yes, there's somebody here in front.
Factors to consider in developing a research idea. So, point number one, you first of all choose your topic, that is your area of interest, and then you narrow your topic to the availability of maybe your finance and all that. Number two, you review literature and then you consult lectures. Maybe somebody has already done something about that thing, then good. You also talk about, you talk to your friends about your topic of interest. Maybe if they have something to add to, then you take that into consideration and then you move forward.
Okay. So what you are saying is the factors to be considered. So what you are saying basically is, right, So you are talking about gap identification. So factors to be considered is that it has to be original. There has to be a gap in the knowledge you are trying to fill. That's what I can understand for what you just said. So yes.
Yeah, I also think you have to consider the time available.
Time, part of resources. Yes, the time available is important. And in particular, if you are doing your dissertation, you know your dissertation takes 12 weeks to complete, and you are going to undertake a research project that is going to take 6 months. You know that from the outset, you are heading for failure because you know you won't have enough time to do it.
One factor to consider when developing a research idea is the importance or relevance of the particular topic you've chosen. Thank you.
Thank you. So the relevance and importance of that is quite important. So thank you very much. Yes, let's see. So the first thing I have is cost, and somebody talked about finances, which is the same. I'm not going to talk about that. But as a Nigerian, we know money matters. Okay, I don't know if money matters in Ghana, but in Nigeria. So then feasibility. Is your research feasible? Because if it's not feasible, you just be wasting resources. Ethics. So are there any ethical considerations that you need to take into consideration? What about resources? We've talked about that. Facilities, time, expertise, like you said, in terms of people, availability of funding to undertake the research. So, and what about the characteristics of a good research idea? Who can shout out what you would expect to see in a research idea and you say it is a good one? So in terms of characteristics, maybe I give you like a few seconds to think about it so that I don't just put you on the spot. So what are the characteristics of a good research idea? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. I think there should be a clear statement of what you want your research is about.
Good. So what you are saying is that a research idea should be clear. Okay? Yes? There's somebody at the back. And then we'll come back. Okay.
I think one of the characteristics too is a research idea must also solve a problem.
Okay, so relevance or impact, yes.
A research idea must be detailed.
Must be detailed. So when I'm reading it, the one line should convey the message that you are trying to pass to people.
I think a research idea should be unambiguous. It shouldn't give you a diverse thoughts when you are, I think, tackling it. So it should be unambiguous. It should be straightforward.
Straightforward and simple. So I don't need to go and carry my dictionary to understand if you are telling me research idea. Yes, there's somebody at the back.
A research idea should be logical. In what instance do we say this? When we say something logical, there should be a rationale behind what topic or whatever issue you are trying to find solutions or ideas or information you are going to gather from.
Thank you. So it should be logical?
Yes.
Any final one? And then...
So I think I would also like to add one.
Okay.
I also think it should be acceptance. The idea should be accepted by the society.
So again, it's about relates to relevance or impact to the society. So the last one then. Yes, the last one, just speak.
I also think a good research idea must have a reference.
Must have what?
Reference.
Right. We're not talking about the proposal now. We're talking about the research idea itself. So, Well, I said the last one. Oh, and somebody here.
Yeah.
Right.
Your research ideas should be analytical, not descriptive.
Should be what?
Analytical, not descriptive.
Okay. So 2 people here, and then we close and go to the next activity. There are 2 people in front here.
Thank you. I think a research idea should be realistic. Realistic in the sense that it should be implemented, not only written on paper. If I pick it and I say that I want to implement it, it should be feasible. I should be able to implement it, and it should be able to be viable. If you come out with a research idea, I think the best option is to look into the community from which you have developed the idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So what you are saying, no, there are 2 people in front here, and then we finish. So what you are saying is that research idea should be researchable.
A research idea should be coming from an existing idea or a new idea.
Yeah, I agree. So originality. So a research idea should be original. That's what you are saying. So I think there's that lady who wants to speak. And then that's it. So. Oh, you don't want to speak any longer?
What she was coming to say is that the research must be meaningful. That's what she was.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to the next slide. I agree with what everybody is saying, has said rather, but if we look at what we call the finer criteria, so all the things that we have said can be, they are embedded within these 5 things that I'm going to talk about. So a good research idea should fulfill what we call the finer criteria. And F standing for feasible, so your research has to be feasible. I stands for interesting. It has to be interesting. You remember, you are not conducting your research for yourself, you are conducting your research for other people. So it has to be interesting. Okay? I'm not saying you need to be interested, it has to be interesting to other people. It might be in terms of relevance, in terms of addressing societal problem or addressing people's problems. So it has to be novel. I think somebody's talking about originality. So it has to be novel in terms of what are you contributing to knowledge. It has to be ethical. So if, for example, if you want to carry out a study in children in the UK, you're going to go through a lot of scrutiny because it has to be make sure that it's ethical. And ethics is not just about harm or confidentiality. It could also be that the study has been conducted before. If it's been conducted before, one of the reasons why it will make it unethical is that why do you want to do it the same way somebody has done it before? Otherwise, you'll be wasting people's time, which is unethical. You'll be wasting societal resources or people's resources. So it has to be ethical. And the last thing is it has to be relevant to the context in which you are operating. So if somebody who was talking about moringa, and looking at health, so it has to be relevant to that particular context. So a good research topic or idea or concept has to be contemporary. So in other words, has to be current. Currency is important. I'm not talking about Ghanaian cedi or British pounds or naira. When we talk about currency in research, we are talking about contemporary. So a good example would be COVID-19 that we're talking about. So anything around COVID-19 is still very contemporary. People talking about HIV now, HIV is not as people used to talk about HIV in the last, maybe about 20 years ago. COVID-19 is dominating everywhere, okay? So there has to be clear implications, and I think somebody mentioned that. It has to be addressing a societal problem or what we call unmet need or a gap that has been identified in the literature or in the current understanding on the topic. It has to be researchable. So somebody, I think last speaker, no, a second to the last talked about that. It has to be researchable. I've just summarized the steps in order to
in order to, in coming up or formulating research ideas into these stages. The first thing, you choose a broad topic. As I said before, the example was around flight cancellations or flight delays. Then the second thing you do is you research your topic to identify what the gap is, so in form of literature review, and then you keep in mind who you are trying to reach in terms of the relevance to those people, and then ask the right questions. So it's important for you to write come up with pertinent questions. Examine the research questions. It might be through you, it might be colleagues, it might be lecturers, it might be other people, which we are going to look at in the next slide. Then you need to brainstorm the possible outcomes. What are the possible outcomes of the results of this research? So these are the steps you go through in developing your research idea. Once you have come up with your research idea, that's what we call validating your research idea. So your research idea, you need to validate it to make sure that it is feasible, it is researchable. So the first thing that we will normally suggest to students, or students will normally carry out, will be what we call pilot study or feasibility study. In your pilot or feasibility study, what you want to find out, is it doable within the time that has been given? So I remember anytime I want to do any study, experimental study, because I used to work on children in terms of my PhD. So I would normally get children to the lab and test them, and it might be just 2 or 3 children, to do a pilot study to see to see whether it is feasible before I start bringing people in. And then the other way to validate it could be what we call peer review. So you need to peer review your idea. Could be through fellow students, could be through your supervisor, could be through family members to say, right, this is my idea. Is it researchable, or what do you think? Do you think it's relevant? It could be through your lecturers, could be through experts in the field. There's what we call stakeholder engagement. Could also be through stakeholder engagement, because as I said, I work on patients. One of the things we normally do working on patients is to come up with the research ideas together. So we normally have workshops with patients, and then they feed into the research question or the research idea, because they are the ones suffering or that have the particular condition we are trying to investigate. So their idea about the condition will really be helpful in shaping the direction of travel in that particular area. So I have a workshop for you, but I'm not going to ask you to do it. You can do it in your own time. And because I'm just looking at time, because item 13, I'm not sure it's here yet. So what I want you to do is, using the final criteria in your own time, I'm still around and other colleagues are around, formulate a research idea by discuss. So you need to formulate a particular research idea, yeah? And then once you have formulated your research idea, discuss how you have come up with the research idea. You need to write down what the relevance of the research idea is, what problem you are trying to solve. Write down what you think the key challenges are in undertaking that particular research. The key challenge might be funding or money. The key challenge might be time or other resources. And then the last thing I want you to write down is, what factors will you consider in undertaking the research? So the factors could be maybe availability of people, maybe availability of lab that will be opening maybe weekends when I'm free. Okay. Any questions? Right. Okay. So just to summarize, so as we said, research ideas can come from a range of sources. So could be from your friends, could be from your fellow students, could be family, could be personal experience, lecturers, supervisors, and so on and so forth. Research ideas should be clear, should be concise, and somebody said should be unambiguous. So, and it should be original. So you should be able to see it from your topic that it is original. And you need to take into consideration certain factors in coming up with your research ideas that will make your research idea feasible. One will include cost, because one of the things most people don't include is cost and resources. Students, they just want to do an endless project, and you cannot solve all the problems in the world. Where you stop, somebody else is going to start from. So keep it as simple as possible. And of course, expertise. Do you have the right expertise to be able to undertake the research project? I think that is the end of my slide. So of the slides. So there are references.
Thank you, Professor Fatoye of the Metropolitan University in the UK. Now, question and answers time. If you have any question, Prof is still available to address those questions. We are closing very soon. I can see you are tired. Since morning you came early. As at 9 a.m. you are all here, and you have been here to this time. Your item 13 is just a few meters, few meters. It's just here, just behind. It's coming. It's coming. So we are closing soon. So if you have any question, we are continuing tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 2 of this workshop. So question time. Where is the microphone? Let's see if now my brain to question is so abre. Prof is here. Question or any contribution that you want to bring on board? Okay, Prof, then I think you can take your seat. You can do it for Prof once again. Let me once again repeat that we are continuing this workshop tomorrow. By 9 a.m., we should all be seated. Prof and his team will continue with this research topic. By 12 noon, we should be done, and we will leave here, God willing, tomorrow. So I will not waste much time. I will now invite Dr. Isaac Yaude, Deputy Director in charge of Quality and Research, to give us his closing remarks. After that, we'll take a short prayer. Then, by then, item 13 will enter.
Hello. Good afternoon. Our distinguished resource persons, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that I'm very much delighted to be part of all this important presentation. I told you from the beginning that research is something that nobody has it all. We all continue to learn. Even I've learned a lot of things from my colleagues, and I believe that you have also learned a lot. I'm very happy to hear that Dr. Achu is a pastor, so I'll go straight to the scriptures to do one thing from the scriptures. When the book of Revelation was being revealed to John, there is one thing that the angel warned John, that woe unto him if he add anything to this book. and also woe unto him if he subtracts anything from it. So, having heard from the expert, I dare not add anything or subtract anything from it. I only say, I only want to thank them on behalf of management and on behalf of the research and then the graduate studies department or faculty, that we are very much grateful to them for making themselves available to come and enlighten us from the thing that you've already been hearing, but this is in a different dimension. So we are very much appreciative to their presence here. We hope that tomorrow we will hear much more from them, and I will be here also to benefit from their rich experience. Thank you very much all for coming. But you wait for the item 13. It will come, so wait for it. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Doc. God bless you so much. We will meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ezekiel there. So we'll take a closing prayer. Where is the Sister Reverend? Oh, so who volunteer and pray for us as we leave here? Charlotte, give us a short prayer. So Charlotte is praying. Let's rise as we pray.
Please, we are praying. We pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Gracious God, we are grateful for making this meeting a success. Amen.
Sit down. Sit down. Kindly sit down. You see, please, those of you going out, please sit down. Let's observe protocols. Prof and his team will leave before we follow. So please sit down. Please sit down.